Alright folks, Green Thumber back here. I just kind of really wanted to go over some of our watering regimen. I realize it's kind of messy down here. I got the crap laying everywhere, but obviously we have our O filter and our booster pump, and I have well water, so tons of iron there. Lovely, huh? But that fills my barrel over here, and then oddly enough, I don't know why a lot of people don't, but I collect all of my air conditioner / dehumidifier water that I get. So you can see it dripping away there. It's a lot of free RO water that I don't know why people don't use. I mean, they claim that it could cause this or that or some type of infection, but nah. Talk to the guys out there in states where water's a lot harder to come by and see what they do. See, I'm just filling up one of my barrels. I fill it up with a 636 on a 3/4 inch, 44 gallon barrel. Fills up pretty fast. It's got a 600 gallon per hour stir pump in it. I do both barrels. Each barrel feeds a system upstairs that waters all my plants. So all the trays that you guys see, I actually feed with these two barrels. So what happens is, what I'm getting at is, this is how I do my breakdown. This is how we run my whole room. Hang on, I'm almost out of water here. So trust that I have like access to all these. I mean, I work at a place where I have access to all this stuff, and they're all great. They're all great nutrient lines. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them. If that's what you like using, that stuff's awesome. All of it. I mean, you name it, right down to every little detail of it. This stuff actually is pretty awesome. We like using this. But in our world, like you can even see, I have a big tub of Plant Success up here that I have yet to open, and I've got a few samples laying around, but for the most part, we do something very basic here. So that being said, we know that the plants need to survive off of minerals from the periodic table of elements that are essential. So we're talking like boron, calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc, molybdenum. So when we talk about that, and we know how much calcium they need, obviously, nobody will argue that they need a lot of calcium. I mean, I generally jump between 250 and 350 parts per million calcium. So what I'm getting at here, though, is that if you start off with a base like this, and say we are sitting at, we are rocking what's looking like about 90 parts per million. So I'm going to take that up to, I'm probably going to add 300 onto that. So I'm going to aim for right around 400. Well, over buying CalMag, because obviously, you know, I mix these two barrels about every 2 days. So I'm using about 88 gallons, 100 gallons in 2 days. So we'd go through a lot of CalMag. I mean, if you do 10 mils a gallon, that's 880 mils every 2 days, which turns into a gallon about 8 to 10 days, which means I'd buy 3 gallons a month roughly. Be pretty expensive. We do, though, is we buy calcium nitrate. And calcium nitrate is that bag over there from J.R. Peters. Boom. Great stuff. Great stuff. They changed the formula a little bit. This stuff's been sitting around for a while. There's a few boulders of it in there. But I take that and I mix it up in a gallon that I know, like this gallon right here. So I just take some hot water, mix. I put 2 pounds of the calcium nitrate in there, and mix it up with warm water so I have a solution. I then know that for every mil I add to this beaker, I will get a mil out of there. So if I put 250, I'm going to go up 250, which I'll show you. And there's 250 roughly. Just dump that right in. Looks like my stir pump's sitting funny, so we're going to have to get that dealt with here. Okay, so stir pump in. says we're sitting at 500 if you look, but we're actually not. It's rapidly coming down. I went up 250 plus 80, so what I should be at 330 roughly. And as you can see, I may not be perfect, but I've got this pretty dialed in. Maybe not. But yeah, sitting right around there. So I actually only went up 200 points, but I am a bit over my 44 gallons, so we do know that off slightly. So let's give her another little 10 mils or so. That's gonna put us where we wanna be on that. As far as our base, I run Jack's base. I run a 5, 12, 26 powder, and I bring my parts per million up to about 1,000. So now at this point, I'll start sprinkling this stuff in, just as powder. Let my stir pump do its job. I then run my pH at about 5.5 to 6.0. And believe it or not, folks, I mix these two barrels up, and I even water the babies over there, who, I know the bigger one on the right looks like crap, but that's just because the LED's tearing it up. It was a bit cold down here as well, so babies are doing good, and they get 1,000 parts per million right out the gate. So they're getting the same food as the flower, no problem. The veg is getting the same food as the flower. We're not having any issues, as you can see. So not, like I said, not that the other nutrient lines don't do their job. It's just, I've always questioned what exactly we're paying for. So there you guys have it, our simple water. You see I'm coming up where I need to be roughly. And usually my pH is pretty close to where I need to be when I'm done with this. So if everything plays out right, it'll be a good mix. And then we'll go ahead and make sure everybody upstairs is watered, and we'll go from there. Obviously my barrels were off, you can see, because we use one to water down here too, so there's always one off by a little bit. So that's why this one was so much farther down. But yeah, that's our whole little watering setup. Seems to work quite well, and once we get to where we want to be, you guys got to realize that a lot of times you're paying for water, you know, you're paying for a bottle out of a store. Well, somebody paid to ship that water around the country, and it usually ends up being the end consumer that ends up with that responsibility. So as you can see, there's a lot of companies that would say take a powder like that and mix it in a jug like that, put some dye in it, put a nice label on it, and tell you it's something special. We know this because you can actually buy liquid Cool Bloom, which we all know. You know exactly what liquid Cool Bloom is. So these guys, you know, once in a while I throw something in there, I don't know, like it would do something special, or if I run out of something, I got them around. But it's, you know, everybody always says, why change a good thing? Well, once we started doing things like this at this large of a scale, you know, this was a good thing. We saved a ton of money, and the plants seemed to be happy and healthy, and we have a good product from it. And I don't know, I'd have to sit down and discuss with anyone why, even in an organic situation, you know, I mean, we aren't, you know, everybody wants to claim organics are so much cleaner than synthetics, but when it really comes down to it, boron's boron, and the plant's gonna absorb boron whether it comes from an organic state or a synthetic state. The same thing as iron or magnesium or molybdenum or all the other things that have copper. So I really think that it's more about having the balance of diet all the time be right, and that's what really pays off in the long run. And I don't mean by supplements, you know, even with a human. If a human eats a really well-balanced diet, they don't need supplements, but if a human eats crap, they probably do. So there you have it. You see we're definitely approaching the 1,000 part per million mark. And we're gonna go ahead and check our pH now, because this stuff does like to pummel the pH right on down, but it's usually in the 4 range or something, so we'll see what we're sitting on today. Obviously I have well water, so it likes to fluctuate. But not gonna have much more time today. You can see right off rip we're sitting at 5.1, 5.2, so we're only gonna go up a little bit, and we should be good to go. And that's a whole batch of water, 1,000 parts per million, 5.5. Just about there. Let's see where we're sitting at on nutrients again. Oh yeah, sitting 1,050 roughly. That's a good number. Don't need to push any harder than that. That's more than enough to keep the plant happy.